Welcome to Write with Love. I'm your host, Sarah Williams, best-selling author, speaker, and creative entrepreneur. Each week, I chat to passionate and inspiring authors about their journey in creative writing. Some are traditionally published, some do it themselves. Everyone's journey is different, and everyone has something interesting to say. We all love love and love what we do. Today's show is brought to you by our amazing fans and supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to help support the show and get some awesome bonus episodes, go to patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author to learn more. Now here's today's show. G'day, I'm Sarah Williams. Thanks for joining me for episode 38 of Write with Love. I'm recording this on Friday, 7th of September 2018. You may have noticed that we had some technical issues last week when my website went offline, and I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. I had a lot of people messaging me on Facebook. The episode with Macy Yates is now live on my website, YouTube, and your favourite podcatcher, so if you haven't listened to it already, go ahead and grab it. So I am supporting Australian farmers and graziers. For the entire month of September, I'm donating all my profits from book sales to rural aid. Aussie farmers and graziers are doing it tough in this drought, and I want to help them out. So jump onto your favourite digital retailer and buy my books. Or if you'd like a signed paperback, you can send me a message through my website or Facebook and I'll get one out to you. And if you live on the Sunshine Coast and you'd like to meet me in person, I am presenting a series of workshops called Taming Your Muse. These are hosted by the Sunshine Coast Libraries, and all the details can be found on their event website or on my Facebook page. The workshops are free to attend, but you must register as they're almost fully booked. I've already done 2 and they were awesome. I've met lots of interesting aspiring authors and avid readers. Today I'm going to repeat last week's shout-outs just in case you missed them. So first off is Madeline Ash is a 2-time Rita finalist and author of contemporary romance. She appeared back on episode 8 of this podcast and was an absolute joy to talk to. Her latest novel is called The Wedding Obsession and is available now, and here's the blurb. Emmy Morgan woke up from heart transplant surgery, saw her best friend Brandon Tan sitting by her bedside, and promptly asked him to marry her. If there was a faster way to ruin a friendship, she didn't know it. 1 year on, Bran has returned home to open a restaurant, and Emmy adds trying to make amends to her already chaotic life. She's also running her own music venue, battling survivor's guilt, and secretly tending a wedding obsession sprung from her near-death experience. Bran needs answers, but all Emmy has are problems. Hating that he couldn't help her last time, he resolves to ease the trouble in her eyes. He sets aside their attraction and awkward past and tries to focus on being friends again. If she would just stop trying on wedding dresses. Well done on another awesome story, Madeline, and you can find the links and more info about her at madelineash.net. Next shout out is to Anne B. Harrison, who writes about wide open countryside where cowboys roam free and no 2 days are ever the same. As well as writing American Western romance, Anne also writes Aussie rural romance, like me. Her book, Taming the Outback, is a great read, and you should definitely put it on your weekend reading list. Here's the blurb. Libby is set on taming the Outback as she takes over Quincy Station, but can she tame her rough neighbour? Nathan's hardened heart as well. Nathan Miller rattles Libby's nerves more than she cares to admit. He is the one person that stands between her and the family home that has been left to her. So why then does the man stir her up to such an extent her body pulses with the need to have him? They do nothing but clash and snap at one another, and he makes no bones about the fact she shouldn't be Quincy Station's new owner, but back in the city where he thinks she belongs. Having had an unpleasant clash with a city girl once before, Nathan does not think Libby has it in her to stick it out. He refuses to give in to his urges. But when Mother Nature brings chaos to Quincy Station and threatens Libby's children, he'll either be proved right in his assumptions or find his barriers taken down by a stubborn woman and her kids. You can learn more about Anne on her website, annbharrison.net, and she will be on the show later in the year because we are doing a book set collaboration together with a few of our other author friends, so stay tuned for more details on that. My final shout out today goes to my good buddy Joanne Denon. Joanne and I chatted on episode 13 and had lots of laughs. Joanne's a multi-published, award-winning Australian author. She writes to give her readers the experiences she loves to savour, indulging in a sigh-worthy happily ever after, being swept away from the everyday by diving into a delicious romance novel. She can be found on Facebook chatting about reading, writing, cooking, vintage-inspired dresses, and all things romantic. And if you head over to her website, which is joannedenon.com, you can get her novel Bidding on Love for free when you sign up for her newsletter. So if you're an author who would like a shout out, contact me or become a Patreon at patreon.com/Sarah Williams Author. Next week, I'm chatting to the very lovely Annie West, who has been writing for Harlequin since 2005. You won't want to miss this episode, especially if you enjoy a good category romance. But today's chat is with historical fiction author Christine Wells, whose latest book, The Juliet Code, is full of spies, love, betrayal, and secrets. So thanks for joining me today, and here's the interview. Today I'm chatting to Christine Wells. Thanks for joining me, Christine.
Thanks so much for having me, Sarah. It's great to be here.
I appreciate you spending the time here today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to publication?
Well, I'm a Brisbane girl and I started off wanting to be a brain surgeon when I was very young and very soon realised that I didn't like the sight of blood very much. So I switched and ended up becoming a lawyer, which showed a lot of imagination. But I ended up, when I was a solicitor working for a law firm, I really started to love writing and I got into it in a big way and I just couldn't stop. Well, I did stop to do actual work, but I was writing in my lunch hours and way into the night and on weekends, and eventually I decided to give up the law and become a writer full time. So I mainly self-taught. I had a bit of a self-taught apprenticeship for about 4 years before I actually sold a book. And that was through the RWA, Romance Writers of America. They had several contests where acquiring editors would judge the contests if you got into the final. And so I had a few manuscripts with editors over in New York, and one said she wanted to buy it. So you never, ever, ever say yes. You say, wait while I get an agent. So I was on the phone overnight to America trying to talk to all the agents that I'd been submitting to, and ended up with one the next couple of days. And then it was a Friday. She sent the manuscript around for everybody to read over the weekend. And I think by Tuesday I had a deal with a different publisher from the one who had originally offered. So yeah, it was sort of a long lead-in and then a whirlwind sale in the end. Yeah.
Excellent. So you wrote 10 novels before you've written these ones, which we'll come to in a minute. So you wrote those 10 novels and they were published to New York publishers. So tell us about those. What sort of books were they?
They were historical romance set in Regency England, and one lot were under the name Christina Brooke. So that was for St Martin's Press.
Excellent. And now you've written 3 books about historical romance and historical fiction, and you've written them under your name, Christine Wells. So it's The Wife's Tale, The Trader's Girl, and your latest one is The Juliet Code. So tell us about these ones, because they're all 3 quite different but very, very interesting storylines. So tell us about them.
Well, the latest one is The Juliet Code, which I happen to have right here. And it's set in World War II, England and Paris, France, and it's about a wireless operator who is captured behind enemy lines and survives the war, but then afterwards an SAS officer wants her to help him find his sister, who was also captured and was lost after the war. He wants to find her dead or alive. And Juliet has her own secret that she doesn't want to come out. So actually finding this girl who might reveal it is a difficult challenge for her.
Oh, brilliant.
The Traitor's Girl is also set in World War II, and it's about a woman who is employed as an agent provocateur. So she will test out the spy school students to see how discreet they are. And but she's got her own agenda because she's trying to uncover a traitor in the midst of the Secret Service. So this one was inspired by the Cambridge Four, the moles in the Secret Service who worked throughout the war but also afterwards into the Cold War. I read once that a barrister, actually a female lawyer who worked for MI5, was the only one this very famous traitor, Kim Philby, was worried would uncover him because she knew so much about the Russians. And I thought, what a great premise for a story. What if she did uncover the traitor? And so the lawyer and the agent provocateur worked together to try to bring down this very clever and evil traitor.
Oh, fantastic. And then a few hundred years before, we've got The Wife's Tale, which is it's a dual timeline too, isn't it?
That's right. In The Wife's Tale, again, we have a lawyer. Liz is Australian, and she is asked by her boss to prove that he's actually the true heir to an estate called Seagrove on the Isle of Wight in England. And of course, legally, he can't reclaim the estate, but he just wants to prove that he's the rightful heir. And so she has to track down lots of clues in the past. And of course, then we flash back to the past, to the inhabitants of Seagrove in the 18th century. And this story was actually inspired by a legal case. It's a criminal conversation action, which we don't have anymore. But it was a husband could sue his wife's lover for damages because she was his chattel and the lover had spoiled the goods. So I just thought this was such an outrageous, and the money that exchanged hands was huge. It could be £10,000 to £20,000, which was an absolute fortune in those days. And very prominent people were sued. Actually, Lord Melbourne, the Prime Minister, who is featured in the Victoria series that's on television these days, he was sued for criminal conversation. And the woman he was sued for having an affair with was called Caroline Norton. And she was an author. And her husband was really politically motivated to sue the Prime Minister because he wanted to bring down the government. But she was a very strong woman and she was also an author. And what made me so mad was that because she was married to this horrible man, he owned even the books she wrote. He had the copyright in them. So it made me so mad and I had to write about it. So my character, Delaney, in the 18th century is also a writer. So she has to go through one of these cases and it's very tough because in those days you had no rights.
Yeah. Oh, I'm glad that's not still around. It's quite funny. Excellent. And so how is it with writing the dual timelines? Is there a lot more research that goes into it? How do you go about it?
There's a lot of research. There's also a lot of piecing the scenes together. So I use Scrivener for that. It's great. It's a software program for writers. And you can really see all of your scenes in a very pictorial form and move them around easily and colour code them and all of that sort of thing. But the research is very full on for all of these, and because most of them I was researching a new era to me, it took me a while to really feel comfortable writing in that era. But maybe I think The Wise Tale took me about 2 years, and the others have taken a year each.
Brilliant. And they're all traditionally published? Are they all with the same publishers?
Yes, they're all with Penguin Australia and New Zealand. They're only available in Australia and New Zealand at the moment, but hoping for more territories.
That's it. And they're available on audio as well?
Yes, ebook and audio. So the narrator who does the audio is fantastic. She's a professional actor and she does all the accents. She's just brilliant. So Jennifer Valetic, who does all 3 of my books, she's fabulous.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, what are you working on at the moment, Christine?
I'm working on a new book that's in the French Resistance. I can't say too much about it at the moment. It's a bit secret squirrel. But yes, it'll be Paris, fashion, resistance, really. I'm just really loving writing it at the moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love how so many of these historical fiction books that are coming out, yourself, Natasha Lester and some others, and the women are such strong female leads. It's fantastic to see at the moment.
Yeah, I love strong female protagonists. That's really my bag.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Five.
That's it. We like some kick-ass girls. Brilliant. So where can we find you online?
My website is christine-wells.com. I'm on Twitter at ChristineWells0. I'm on Facebook, Christine Wells /author, I think it is, and Instagram as well. Yeah. So anywhere you are, I'm probably there too.
Excellent. So I highly recommend everyone goes on and follows her, and if she's coming to a library or a bookstore near you, go and say hi and have a chat. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Christine. That was really fun.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Jump onto my website, sarahwilliamsauthor.com, and join my mailing list to receive a free preview of my books and lots of other inspiration. If you like the show and want it to continue, you can become a sponsor for just a couple of dollars a month. Go to patreon.com/sarahwilliamsauthor. And remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and leave a review of the podcast. I'll be back next week with another loved up episode. Bye!